You are listening to Vitruvian Man with Jesse and Josh.
Welcome back to Vitruvian Man. As usual, I am joined by Manila Josh.
Manila. How's it going?
How you been?
Pretty good. Yeah, pretty good. Got that outdoor projector up. I'm super excited about that.
You guys were watching Seinfeld the other night?
Yeah, we watched Seinfeld last night. We watched The Munsters.
Oh, sick.
And then we started everybody's fucking favorite, Starship Troopers.
Oh, dude.
Fucking love that movie.
Yeah, if you look at that movie as a satire of World War II movies, boy, is it a great comedy.
It's genius. It's genius. Really, yeah, no, I love that shit. And yeah, you'll have to come out. Well, we're doing it again this weekend.
Going to see Paul F. Tompkins on Saturday. I probably can't. But,
okay.
Cannot wait to watch movies with you.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
I have a bunch of physical media. I've got a PlayStation Blu-ray player if you need it. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can run anything through it. It seems like, but we can run it off of the Wi-Fi and phone. So it's
nice.
It was cheap. It's crazy.
When we're done here today, I'll show you my Blu-ray collection. I got a pretty good one.
Awesome.
It's going to light a fire.
How was your week?
Great. Today we grilled some salmon and had some Yukon Gold potatoes brushed with pesto and grilled those too. And man,
nice.
I mean, Yukon Gold potatoes with butter, one of the great culinary experiences.
How bad can it be?
Oh my God, so good. My son's all, I'm good. I'm like, oh dude, you just got to taste this. So
you're not.
He'll eat French fries, but not a potato guy. Kind of exotic for him. I know.
I don't even know where to go with that.
There are palates that are definitely more, constricted than ours.
I branched out for sure. I remember I was a well done steak guy when I was a kid.
Really?
But I grew out of it and then I got into the kitchen and that changed everything. I'll eat fucking anything at least. Well, almost anything at least once.
Twice.
Twice.
Yeah. One of the turning points for me was Thai food because I remember someone said, "Oh, curry with peanut sauce." I'm like, "Yuck." But I tasted it to my credit, and it was really fucking good. So that was one of the big breakthroughs.
You just got to be willing to give it a chance.
Yes.
Twice, right? Because the first time you don't know what you're getting yourself into. The second time you know what you're getting yourself into, and then you can find out if you appreciate it or not.
Yeah. And my mom used to make liver and onions, and I ate it, but I probably had enough of that for the rest of my life. So
I haven't had straight beef liver. We made all kinds of pâtés and stuff like that, and I love liver pat It's fucking delicious.
I mean, pate and a banh mi is a culinary experience.
I mean, that's the way it should be.
Yes.
And then grilled chicken livers on rosemary skewers with like a dark berry reduction on there. Fuck yeah, on toast. Oh man,
I've never had that. It's funny. There's things that I'm not saying excited to go out and buy, but I've tried. The pork belly. I've tried a few things.
Pork belly.
Yeah.
I mean,
it was great. I mean. It's a little weird eating it, but it tasted amazing.
I mean, it's bacon.
Yeah, it really is.
It's the bacon. It's pancetta. It's
very fatty.
Dude, it's so good. Like braised. Anyway, all right. We can turn this into a fucking food thing for sure.
But yeah, that salmon was good. It was yum.
Yeah, good grilled salmon. All right. Sorry.
In these 15 weeks, we've talked about some real fucking assholes. You would agree with that?
Yeah, some real douchebags. Top shelf douchebags.
Today we get to talk about someone cool.
I'm pretty excited about this because I know a little bit about him, right? And I did my research and read some articles, but I know that you delved in deep.
I'll confess I had no idea who Tim Walz was before Harris appointed him.
Yeah.
But, I was hoping for Pete Buttigieg. Thought he was a great choice.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I think that would have been a mistake.
I do too.
A woman and a gay guy, probably a bit rough for middle America.
Yeah.
So picking Walz was a stroke of fucking genius, I think.
Yeah, no, I think, and I mean, we'll get into it, but his appeal it runs deep.
Oh, we're going to talk about this.
Yeah.
Walz is a very important political figure at this time. I think this, you and I like to joke and laugh. This country is experiencing a deep sadness right now.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a controversial thing to say. We are looking at the culmination of 40 or 50 years of racial division, largely because of our politicians. And I think Walz is the salve to the depression that this country is in right now. At least the beginning of that walk, that journey, you know.
I have to say, I don't think it's just him. I do think it's the pair of them. It's both Kamala and Tim Walz.
Oh yes,
because without her, he's just a fucking white guy. Right.
Well, she made the choice.
Exactly.
And she clearly made an excellent choice. No, I wasn't diminishing what she did.
No, I get that. I just wanted to say that just because like he is definitely, I mean, we'll get into it, but he has changed the conversation across the country. It's pretty fucking amazing.
He has.
And he's ruined our fucking podcast. Yeah, bastard.
Our podcast is now over.
It's all been fixed. We're done.
Walz ushered in the end to toxic masculinity.
And I think on a very real level, he has. I mean, it's not over, but I think on a real level, he has introduced the conversation to people that were not talking about it. And I believe that especially to people on the left were not willing to have that conversation about toxic masculinity and how there could be an alternative to masculinity.
Yep.
It was definitely recognized across the board on the left that there was only toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
On a serious level. And I think that he really has opened up that conversation.
And I think it's important to say too that there is plenty of people that vote Democrat that are toxic masculinity kind of like. Well, I should say, to say that Republican Party owns toxic masculinity is ridiculous. I see people on Twitter who vote Democrat who call themselves liberal. And they'll say, why is this guy crying? What a pussy, essentially.
Right.
So you sound like every asshole Republican we're making fun of.
Right.
It's not any better if a left-wing person says it.
No, and it's not. I totally agree.
Someone posted a video of RFK Jr. Bench pressing, and she's liberal, and she said, "It's just me, or someone that big shouldn't he be lifting a lot more weight?" Okay, first of all, if you know weight training. A lower amount of weight and a lot of reps is a completely different workout than a lot of weight and a small amount of reps.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, what a man is capable or not capable of is none of your fucking business.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean? Like, oh my God. What RFK would, the other day we had a lovely friend. She said out, an older person in her 80s. And she said this couple was a lovely couple and they had a child that was mentally challenged, blah, 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 blah. And our friend said, and she's so beautiful, the mother. More than once in the conversation, the friend said, and that he's so handsome and she's so beautiful, as if that has anything to do with the conversation that we're having.
So was that as if that should be an indicator of the intelligence of the child?
No, as if misfortune befalling a good-looking person is worse than misfortune befalling.
Right.
And this is something that the older generations have to kind of shed. I mean, like, when you look at people in their 70s and 80s, right, they're very obsessed for some reason with looks and all that stuff. And it's like, you'll hear, she died in an accident and she was so beautiful. So I don't get it. The ugly girl that died in an accident, her parents shouldn't grieve because she wasn't beautiful?
So, I mean, I feel like, because that is beauty bias is a real thing.
Of course,
right?
Yes.
I mean, it's totally, they get jobs easier. Their life is just fucking easier. Beautiful people's life is easier. Sometimes I think that people in their 70s and 80s maybe just don't have the filter to not say it.
Oh, you mean like their age kind of loses that governor?
Yeah, exactly. I feel like, maybe they just kind of pop off with shit that maybe they don't stop.
Yeah.
But agreed. I mean, that is definitely something that happens.
We'll start with Walz. I'll just go through a couple of bullet points to get him out of the way.
Yeah, give it to me.
He served as the 41st governor of Minnesota since 2019.
So when did he come in after? Oh, so no, that would have been.
I have these are a little bit out of order.
Okay.
But he was a member of the House of Representatives from 2007 to 2019. So he was a member of the House before he was governor. And he was also the ranking member of the House Veterans Affairs Committee as well. Obviously a respected veteran, so he chaired those committees. He graduated from Sadron State College in Nebraska before moving to Minnesota. Walz's father died at a very young age. Did you read about that?
No.
So Walz was 20 when his beloved father died of lung cancer.
Oh, I did read that.
Right.
Yeah.
That basically left his mother and younger brother dependent on Social Security survivor benefits for support.
Right.
Kamala Harris worked at McDonald's. Tim Walz's family received welfare. I mean, these are markers of lower and middle class that I do think make better people.
Yeah.
It's people that work for a living, people that need to struggle a little bit on welfare.
Yeah.
They don't necessarily look down on people on welfare because they've had to do it themselves.
They understand that life comes at you.
Yep. When he was working as a high school teacher, that's where Walz met his wife, Gwen.
She was a teacher too, right?
Yeah. They met in 94 and the two were married. This is kind of cool. I'll just go through some of these bullets and then we'll really get into this conversation.
Yeah.
The football team he took over had lost 27 straight games when he joined as a defensive coordinator. 3 years later, in 1999, the team won its first state championship. Again, just a high school football championship, but he sounds like he's a good coach.
Yeah.
I do respect coaches. One of our dear friends is a coach at LC Allen, and he takes care of those young men. He makes them wear suits to traveling games. If they can't afford a suit, he goes out to a thrift store and buys them one. Very much he was in the military, but very much into getting these boys, some regimen, some discipline, a great person by all accounts. So I have a soft spot in my heart for football coaches.
All right.
I know some people hear that and they go, yuck.
Yeah,
because there are awful football coaches, of course.
We'll delve in there.
Yeah. So real quick here. Oh, this is kind of cool. So as football coach, in 1999, he agreed to spearhead the Gay Straight Alliance at his high school.
Yeah, that's dope.
Yeah, he felt it was important that faculty advisor was a football coach, a soldier, and straight and married to show that different worlds can coexist.
Yeah.
We've talked about this a lot. I mean, when the right person adopts a very progressive kind of measure, it's so much easier for the straight white parents to go, well, Coach Walz is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
If Coach Walz says this is okay, maybe it is okay.
Then maybe it's okay. What's interesting, and this is kind of an aside here, but I fucking paywall. So I was trying to read, my mom sent me an article. Joseph wrote a opinion piece for the San Francisco Chronicle.
Did you say Joseph?
Yeah, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it,
Okay.
but it's Jos Joseph.
Oh, okay, got it.
The first last name.
Right.
And paywalled, so I couldn't read the whole fucking thing. But essentially, they went through all these bullet points, and it sounded like they were talking about Walz, but it was Vince Lombardi.
Oh, okay.
And saying it forbade anybody to make fun of gay people, straight people
Really?
on the team. It included everybody. Was like all these things. I was like, damn. And then it turned out to be Vince Lombardi. I'm like, well, that's pretty
Good
interesting
for him, because is that the 40s, the 50s?
That would have been like, I think the 50s, 60s.
That is not a progressive time in America.
Dude, no. And I mean, he's probably the winningest coach out there as far as I know.
Definitely one of them.
Although I don't know shit about sports.
I know a little bit, and that's definitely true.
Like, I don't know shit, and I know his name, right? And I know that there's a trophy named after him, right? That's about all I got.
Kind of important.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's always interesting to me, people that say and do progressive things in epochs that are definitely not progressive.
And in a situation that is the last thing anybody's fucking thinking about.
Yes.
Teams and fans, especially the fans.
Right.
But he was, I mean, apparently pretty fucking progressive.
Wow.
And so for Walz to kind of be compared to him as, I mean, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, we mentioned a few episodes ago that Frank Sinatra would not play clubs that didn't allow Sammy to get in the club. And, I don't know about Frank Sinatra. He could have been a horrible person, but he knew right from wrong when it came to civil liberties for black people. So God bless him. People, sometimes they step up, and he did.
Yeah.
So I do know that Walz was an opponent of the war in Iraq, a vocal opponent of that.
Did he end up voting for it?
So he opposed the Bush plan to send an additional 21,000 troops to Iraq. He did vote in favor of a bill of May that year that provided $95 billion in funding to the war through September 30th. He explained that his vote was to ensure the safety of American troops, while also saying he would continue to negotiate a process to pull troops from Iraq. So obviously there was a certain way it was inevitable.
Yeah.
But there weren't a lot of people that were against the war in Iraq.
Not vocally. Yeah.
I just got some of his accomplishments here. If you name basically a progressive measure, Walz has either championed it or voted it in. So school lunches.
Yeah.
During the government shutdown, Walz chose not to accept his congressional pay, instead donating it to hunger relief organizations. Listen to what he said. He accused the political Tea Party movement of contributing to the shutdown, calling it reckless and completely avoidable. No one should be patting themselves on the back about doing the basic work of government, Walz said. So that's pretty good.
I mean, he seems like a mensch.
Yeah, absolutely. He in 2023 he signed a law requiring Minnesota to obtain all of its electricity from wind, solar, and other carbon-free sources by 2040, phasing out the climate warming pollution generated by coal and gas-fired power plants. He signed a $2.6 billion infrastructure spending package that funded numerous union construction jobs and focused on repairing roads, bridges, and other essential infrastructure. And by the way, let me just say this out loud. Republicans say they hate welfare. No, that's not true. What they hate is welfare that's not corporate welfare.
It's welfare for the poor.
Boeing has been building these billion-dollar bombers that will never get used for years and decades.
Yeah.
So Republicans love corporate welfare. They pretend to hate the other welfares, right? The fact is, if we did a massive jobs program, which I think Harris and Walz would absolutely be for, a middle class and lower class that can't spend does not generate revenue for capitalism, and it's going to fail. So the simple fact is, it's time for thousands and thousands of government jobs. We have a Potemkin village in this country wherein we are strong and mighty and we have all the money, but our bridges are crumbling. Our roads are crumbling. Our infrastructure is crumbling. Yes.
Falling apart.
The bridges in this country are a disaster.
Jesus, the fucking roads in Sonoma County.
Right. Hire thousands of Americans.
Yeah.
They're making a living wage, and Americans don't save very well. Americans spend.
Yeah, they spend.
Those people will be spending the moment they get those paychecks.
Yeah.
So it just seems like a pretty obvious way to boost the economy. No economics professor, but I don't know. Just put two and two together. People don't have money; they can't spend money.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
And most people are not happy not working. There are people who would rather die than ever work again. I think that is a vast minority of people.
I do too.
And of course, some of that segment is mentally ill, so they're not necessarily meant to work in the workplace.
Don't talk about me like that. Dude. I'm sitting right here.
Hey, look, I love you, but you are mentally ill. I just have a tremendous amount of good stuff here. For example, following the Parkland High School shooting, he denounced the NRA. Now, see, he called himself at one point a proud card-carrying member of the NRA. He's a hunter. Obviously, he was in the military. But that was before this madness of school shootings.
At what point did he step back from that?
Well, that date I'm not clear on. I probably have it here in my notes.
I'm just curious because they went fucking insane a long time ago.
They did. No, they did. And I think there's a lot of people entrenched in the NRA. They're just they live in the Midwest. They hunt. They're just in the NRA. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Suddenly, it's clear to them that the NRA doesn't give a shit about school shootings because they don't give a shit about school shootings.
Not even a little bit.
Not even a little bit.
Yeah.
So I think plenty of people, regardless of how they ever felt about the NRA before, understand that it's a force of evil now.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
But he basically, as governor, Walz expressed support for gun regulation. In 2023, he signed into law a public safety bill that establishes universal background checks and red flag laws in Minnesota. So whatever he said about the NRA, he's signed into law background checks.
That's pretty. I mean, as a hunter, that's pretty good.
Yes.
And apparently he can outshoot anybody in Congress.
Oh, he's got the trophies to show it. He says. We were talking about his support of LGBTQ.
Yeah.
Our buddy Bill Clinton basically signed "Don't Ask, Don't Tell."
Oh, dude, Clinton.
Yeah. Walz, in a 2009 speech, called for an end to Don't Ask, Don't Tell. Walz voted in favor of the Matthew Shepard and James Byrd Hate Crimes Prevention Act and the Sexual Orientation Employment Non-Discrimination Act. So he has signed several protections for LGBTQ people. For an old white guy, he's pretty progressive.
Yeah.
So I think
I'm an old white guy from the fucking Midwest. I mean, that is. I have to say, with all this that's been going on, everybody's been talking about masculinity, but how he is kind of like, I mean, that's kind of how everybody used to be. Like, they didn't used to be these fucking nut job right wingers. They used to be people that cared about their community, cared about their people, didn't give a fuck what you did. Like, in the bedroom of fucking down the street, do you need help? Like, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. And he's doing that. He's providing help for people that need it.
Absolutely.
It's pretty impressive.
Yeah. I want to point out, I've said a lot of good things about him. He did get a DUI. So that's one of the things that Republicans basically tried to use against him and fizzled immediately.
They can't.
I think to vote for Trump, you're required to have a DUI. And you know, I'm not a hypocrite. I drove drunk quite a few times when I was a youngster.
Yeah.
Lucky I didn't kill anybody.
For
so
sure.
Yet let ye has not, you know, with no sin cast the first stone. Most people have driven drunk.
Yeah, anybody who drinks has driven over the limit.
Of course they have.
Yeah, absolutely.
What
was the situation?
He in 1995 he was arrested for driving under the influence. He pled guilty and reduced charge of reckless driving, and his driver's license was suspended, and he stopped drinking alcohol after that. So I think he's still sober. I don't know, but he quit alcohol after that. I know someone personally who has like 4 DUIs. So again, pretty good guy.
4 fucking DUIs.
Yeah. So. Not saying it's a good thing.
No.
Obviously it's a bad thing, but it seems like he learned from it because he doesn't have one since then.
I really can't, like, I mean, that kind of thing. It's all odds.
You know, I was, a while ago, I was having dinner with some people and they all drink. And, you know, for me to have a day drink at all is pretty rare.
Yeah.
Even a beer at noon. I'm just not a day drinker. I'll have a glass of whiskey at night, but no, thank you. It wasn't until just a year or two ago that it occurred to me that people that are alcoholics drive drunk all the time.
Yeah.
Now, think about that. Maybe it's not 10 beers. It's 2 or 3 beers. And I took a ride with a friend, a long ride once, and he took out wine and was drinking it in the car while we were driving. And I didn't know what the fuck to say.
That's so old school.
He didn't drink 2 bottles because I would have said, I'll drive now.
Yeah.
But like, oh my God.
That's, I mean, I remember, that was the 70s. Fucking get in the car, you pop a beer.
Open container. Yeah. God damn it. So in the global conversation about Walz, I told you an episode or 2 ago, I'd seen this amazing reporter talking about how older white men had been taken from us. Older white men were not a thing anymore.
Yeah.
And obviously Walz, I think, is working for a lot of people because of this, that kind older man is a thing missing in politics completely.
I mean, not just politics. I think in the American psyche, it's missing. Like that's like I was saying earlier, it's like they kind of disappeared off the fucking radar.
Right.
I mean, Fox News and talk radio killed that man. And,
yes.
And Walz is bringing him back. And that is something sorely needed in America. I mean, there's just nobody he's changed the conversation so substantially. It's absolutely amazing to me. Like nobody was talking about, toxic masculinity until he fucking popped up. I mean, they were, but it was all, intellectuals and fucking bullshit on the side. But as a mainstream thing, I mean, I can't tell you how many articles I read and like from all over the map, all over Ms. Magazine.
Yeah.
What fucking like
they're not really a political magazine, obviously. So
Teen Vogue, dude.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, it's in Press Democrat, but they're, basically a feeder paper. But and then you've got like the Times of London has it in there. The Guardian has it in there. New York Times, of course, but they're probably, fuck them. And then NPR's had interviews with people talking about it. I mean, it is put it out there that there is an alternative type of masculinity. And I'm so happy to see it. It's fucking awesome.
So I don't know if I wish I could credit the person who said this because it was a brilliant thought. If you look at Fox News, that generation, let's say older people between the ages of 60 and 80, had guys like Walter Cronkite. They had journalists they trusted, and for good reason.
Yeah, right.
That, of course, censorship in the media has been a thing since the dawn of time.
You're right.
But there was a time where you really could trust newsmen, to not name call out loud during a newscast, right? To not sully themselves with bulliness, but mainly like that generation that trusted their broadcasters was perfectly shepherded into Fox News. Like they trusted media because mostly you should sort of trust media in some ways.
Well, you could have up until fucking 24-hour newscasts.
Right.
Yeah, that was the end.
So that really was how Fox News took that generation for themselves.
And it was a siloing of information too. Cable networks and AM radio really siloed people's the way they got information.
Yeah, definitely. AM radio.
rough,
We were just talking about Art Bell. Yeah, AM radio was so my jam for so many years.
Oh, dude, I fucking love that opening intro. It's so good.
That's funny. Your friend said that it reminded him of Art Bell's theme, and what I was thinking of was Stranger Things. Have you seen Stranger Things?
Oh, I love Stranger Things.
Yeah. That kind of synthwave, 80s.
I can't. I think that it's Kraftwerk. I think that his opening intro music.
Okay.
Was
that
Kraftwerk.
Actually Kraftwerk? Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And I know they're obviously very important pioneers of electronic music.
Oh yeah.
So
me some
are they
Kraftwerk.
largely responsible for that killer analog sound that we know today?
They built a lot. They built the framework for a lot of the machines that the analog machines, and they used Moogs and stuff like that.
So much like the Tom Schultz for Boston, they were actually pioneers in the technology as well, right?
Oh yeah, yes they were.
That's cool.
Yeah, they were fucking dope.
Yeah, Moog, man. Moog stuff is cool. If you ever watch Rush play, Geddy's, playing that bass while he's singing, and there's times where he puts his hand on a keyboard and his feet are at the Moog pedals.
Nice.
So he's doing the bass lines with his feet. It sounds killer.
He's insane.
Yeah, it's beyond me. It's a superhero power, basically. So Walz. What else can we talk about Walz?
Well, I mean, the way that he has reframed the whole conversation, and even listening to people, I watched this fucking clip from Blaze TV, which is,
I don't know what Blaze TV is. What is that?
Glenn Beck's fucking pile of shit.
You're watching Glenn Beck.
Dude, that's
what are you doing?
It's for our dear listeners.
You were doing research.
I was doing research.
So Glenn Beck is an insane piece of shit. What's he up to these days?
Well, it wasn't him. It was his monkeys that he had on there yammering. And they were basically trying to say, well, that's not real masculinity. Real masculinity is, what we do. That's our market. I can't believe that they're trying to take our market of masculinity and football and American flags. They're just getting all fucking wound up, dude. It's like he's making them lose their fucking minds about this shit. And I can't believe he's not a real fucking hunter. I mean, just all that kind of they have no idea how to go after him because he doesn't give a fuck. He's like, he came up with your weird.
And boy,
gold, dude.
What a genius word.
I hope that they kind of dial it back and maybe work in some other words, but weird was a great launching pad for mocking these people. I mean, the way he does it, it's like he's kind of bulletproof. There's really nothing they can do, and they love they fucking hate the fact that he's a football coach. He's not a football coach. He was a defensive coordinator. Shut up, dude. Just shut the fuck up. And then the whole thing. Oh, you had DUI.
Well, so that's what's interesting. Nothing sticks to him. So that DUI story I heard about 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Gone.
Not a thing, dude.
Gone.
No one gives a shit about that.
They're throwing so much shit at the wall right now, and nothing is sticking. He's Teflon. It's pretty fucking impressive.
Yeah.
And she is too. They really have no idea how to go after him, and it's driving them fucking nuts.
So that apparently Walz and Harris have a big interview. I think it was scheduled for today or tomorrow.
Today. It was today at 6 our time. So I'll probably watch it tonight or tomorrow.
So obviously, right wingers will be watching that intently with popcorn, trying to figure out a way to poke holes at what they're saying.
Yeah.
So
they've already went after Kamala, saying that she got Walz on there because she needs a babysitter. What? That's what you got? That's the best you can fucking do. And the fact is, fuck the media. She doesn't need to do any interviews. She can do it if she feels like it, and fuck them if she doesn't.
Yeah.
I fully they have nothing to contribute to the conversation anymore. No. The media is done. And that's why they had 400 fucking TikTokers and influencers at the DNC, and they didn't talk to any fucking media. There was a whole section set aside.
Oh, nice.
For kids, basically, to get the shit out on video. Uh-huh. And the media was essentially ignored, which was dope. After the way they've been treating Biden, the way they haven't been dealing with fucking Trump, I think it's awesome. Fuck the media.
I agree. I mean, the media is largely responsible for the mess we're in, right? Because
absolutely.
Let's be clear about this. Trump meant ratings. So for the last 10 to 15 years, whatever, during Trump's reign of terror, the media has bent over backwards for ratings.
Yeah.
So that piece of shit Nazi motherfucker, the media is largely responsible for his ascension.
I mean, they gave him, I think they've tried to figure it out after 2016 when he won against Hillary.
Yeah.
I mean, they gave him almost $1 billion of free publicity. Like, they tried to count it out, and that's kind of what they come up with. Who knows if it's actually that much, because fucking valuation is weird. But the fact is that they gave him hundreds of millions of dollars of free publicity,
right?
Just because they wouldn't cover him correctly. They know how to cover him now, and they're still not doing it.
Yeah,
and they're kind of coming around. I kind of see a little bit, but I mean, they ran a fucking op-ed that Trump can win on character in the New York Times. What the fuck are you talking about? As if we needed
proof that the New York Times has been
just co-opted
by fascists.
Well, it's the whole opinion page is completely swung to the right.
Yeah.
I have no idea what the fuck Barry Weiss was talking about when she quit.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. And her fucking whole platform, Free Press, I don't know. There's some good things on it, but mostly it's a bunch of fucking libertarian bullshit.
And as we've already talked about, libertarian, kind of a gaggle of idiots in some ways.
They're morons.
Who's the guy from Kentucky who's a libertarian?
Rand Paul?
Yeah, guys. Fucking
Ron
idiots.
And Rand.
Yes.
Both. Ron.
I can't say, I'm not talking about Ron. Rand seems like a really
Rand is a fucking moron.
Yeah.
Rand is a moron. Yeah. Absolute moron. I don't understand how these motherfuckers, how do they get into these positions?
I want to point out that through these 15 weeks, you've been saying these are not serious people. Did you hear Kamala say it the other day?
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying she's quoting Josh.
No.
I'm not implying that Kamala Harris listens to our podcast, but yeah, she definitely listens to our podcast.
Shout out to the friend of the pod, Kamala.
Hey, Kamala, we love you. Good luck. But I was watching this Lincoln Project documentary the other day, and I had the pleasure of watching some of that Biden-Trump debate. I guess that would have been from before Biden was elected in 2020. But, dude, I forgot Biden told him to shut up.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed that. Trump is not used to being talked to that way.
Yeah.
He says, literally, will you shut up, man?
Yeah.
Fucking awesome.
That was good.
But also, that's the debate where Trump refused to denounce white supremacy.
Right. Oh, my God. You watched that whole fucking thing again?
Not the whole thing. I was watching the Lincoln Project, so they would watch that shit in real time.
Yeah.
And Rick Wilson's like, that's it. And they would live tweet. As it was happening. And boy, just genius stuff. So Rick Wilson's like, oh, that's it. He won't, denounce white supremacy. Just a fucking shitstorm of tweets. At that point, the Lincoln Project had more followers than the Democratic Party.
That's insane.
Yeah, insane. So 2.5 million followers or something like that. So
I was listening to Fast Politics, the Molly Jong Fast.
Uh-huh.
And she always has Rick Wilson on there. I think that they actually do it together. And they were talking about if Fucky McFuckface is going to debate Kamala or not. And they're like, his handlers are terrified that he's going to, which is why they want the mute. Because he can't control himself. He has absolutely no self-control. And it's gotten worse. The Adderall fucking is really kicking in, right?
Oh, is it literally Adderall?
No.
Okay. I like Fucky McFuckface. It makes me want to get a bumper sticker. Defeat Fucky McFuckface in 2024.
But basically they're like, there's no way he won't do it. I'm convinced that he'll back out, but they think that he won't be able to resist going in there.
So don't forget that Trump is a narcissist.
Yeah.
And everything he does is governed by that.
But he's terrified. He is terrified.
Oh, he's terrified of going to prison or of not winning, right? He's terrified of all kinds of shit. But first of all, I hope he doesn't deprive us of that moment. I want to see that moment of her facing him down. I hope we get to see that. I think. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, what made me think about it is if it goes ahead, Biden telling him, "Will you shut up, man?" is going to look like cornflakes. She's going to fucking put her finger in his chest, get away from me, because he's going to try and do the Hillary thing where he fucking lurked around behind her. Do you remember that?
God, I'd forgotten
What
that.
a piece of shit, dude. And he's
Well,
going to
he
try.
is a sexual predator.
Oh, and
so of course he did that.
He's absolutely going to try that shit with Kamala, and she's just going to straight dick punch that motherfucker, man.
Oh my God. And
God.
it's just, you know, we talked about Biden and his accomplishments, and he was a good president.
Yeah,
he really was, for
has
the working
been,
man
for
especially.
sure.
But you can bully Biden at his age. You could bully him.
Right.
Dude, just she is a
absolutely
powerful
not.
figure, confident in herself.
Yeah.
And, you know, you were saying earlier, I meant to cross my fingers earlier, you were saying that they needed Walz there to babysit her.
Right.
Don't forget that one of the canards they're repeating over and over again is that she's a DEI hire. For those who don't know about DEI, right, that's diversity, equity, inclusion.
Yeah.
There's a lot of workplaces around the United States looking at their diversity, equity, inclusion. John Stewart, a couple of years ago,
I remember
was
that.
saying that he regretted
his writing
not
team.
having any white. He said his writing staff was all white men. And he said, you know, that's not what we intended to do. I got my friends. We started writing. But he goes, if I had to do it over, I would have had more voices of color. You know, just for better jokes.
I think
you
we've talked about it. It gives you a broader spectrum of input.
Right.
And broader spectrum of input always makes things better.
Well, you know, I'm in a union, and having sat down in interviews, keeping DEI in mind, I can tell you there's no progressive freight train trying to run over white people. That's not what's happening. No, it's basically saying, you know, how do we make sure things are equitable? That's not this guy's black, therefore he's getting the job. That's not what DEI is about.
No, but that's the shit that they throw up. They fucking know that they're lying.
Yeah.
They're riling up the base. They know they like the same thing with, what is it? The critical race theory.
Right.
They have no idea what those words mean. They have no fucking clue. They have no clue what that means. Right. I mean, it started. I think we might have done this before, but it's basically the whole concept is that it was an idea for a legal thing, and it was started in Santa Cruz, and it was basically thought experiments about how people were impacted and crossover and things like that, and for them to like adopt that as we're teaching white children to hate themselves, I guess is what they think, or what they're trying to say, that it's, you know, it's like, what the fuck you.
Right.
Anyway.
Well, go ahead.
I was going to say we should get back to Walz.
Well, no, we should, but real quick.
Yeah.
You know, so that's the thing about, so you'll hear Republicans say things like racism's over in this country. They say it a lot.
Oh yeah.
They love to say that racism's
it's
over.
post-racial. Yeah.
And if they can find a black person to say it, even better.
Right.
Right. However, they're fighting putting facts in textbooks. So which one is it? Are we a racist country built on slavery? Has that slavery systemically worked its way up until this very year? Yes, it has.
Well, Jesse, slavery really was there to teach the black folks skills.
Right. So they adopted some skills.
They got some skills.
Right. Yeah.
It wasn't slavery so much as skill teaching.
So, I mean, you know, we're told to get over it. Basically, slavery's over. That was, you know, 100 years ago. What's it got to do with us now? So then why are you trying to censor textbooks?
Yeah. Why are you erasing the history that you're denying? Yeah.
Yes. So that's a whole conundrum unto itself.
Yeah.
We talked a little bit about the DNC the other night. The other night, Tim Walz did a shout out to his family, and his disabled son had a beautiful moment, you know, crying and saying, "I love you too, Dad." And of course,
no. That's my dad.
Oh, that's my dad.
That's my dad, which I thought, like, dude, that is one proud fucking son.
Yeah.
Right? And that, how can anybody go fuck Ann Coulter? How can anybody go bad on that? That fucking scraggly ass scarecrow.
I was going to do Ann Coulter's asshole of the week, but I got a better one. But I did come up with some great Ann Coulter quotes. So she captioned her since deleted Twitter post.
Oh, yeah.
That said, talk about weird.
Yeah.
So she's saying a disabled kid's weird.
Well, no, I don't even think that. She's saying that a fucking son can't love his father in an emotional way. What the fuck is wrong with this broad? Talk about daddy issues. Yeah. Fucking scarecrow.
Yeah. Why would someone seek out love? Oh boy, it's time for a psychiatrist. Maybe.
Fucking broad.
Real quick here.
Yeah.
I did have to talk about that incident just a little bit because she's not going to be the asshole of the week anymore. I did have some worse quotes from Ann Coulter. I got a couple good ones.
You
here.
have worse quotes?
Yes.
Well, I guess
So this
that
is her.
river is deep.
Ironically, since Obama was elected, for the first time in my life, I'm sometimes not proud of my country. You know, when Obama got elected, that was one of the proudest moments this country's ever had. It really was an incredible moment. You know, we were at work crying watching that acceptance speech. It was an incredible moment for this country.
Yeah, I remember listening to that.
Here's another one from Ann Coulter. It would be a much better country if women didn't vote. That is simply a fact. In fact, in every presidential election since 1950, except Goldwater in 1964, the Republican would have won if only the men had voted. Speechless?
What do you even do with that? Like, is she? Does she really believe it? Like, that's what I really have no idea.
She's like a meaner Rush Limbaugh, right? I think she's clearly a performance, right? I mean, she thinks she's funny. She's actually done one of the roasts. She was on a comedy roast and completely bombed.
She got fucking burned.
But she thinks she's funny. She really does think she's funny.
Oh, she got burned. Oh,
it was actually one of the most uncomfortable things I've ever seen.
There was a lot of gold on that one.
I do want to read this quote real quick. After Coulter mocked that Walz thing, Shannon Watts, who's the founder of gun safety groups Mom Demand Action in every town, she had a quote about this. I am neurodivergent. When I was 14, I was diagnosed with ADHD, OCD, and several learning disorders, including dyslexia. We are not weird. We're wonderful. We're your family, friends, and fellow Americans.
Yeah.
Yeah. Couldn't have said it better myself.
I still, like, I think that that's beside the point. I mean, I agree with that statement,
Sure,
of course.
Sure, of course, yeah.
But they're going after him because he's a boy, a 17-year-old man crying because he loves his dad. And I think that is fucking horrific, right? You talk about fucking toxic masculinity, all these fucking cracker ass motherfuckers talking shit like that. God damn it.
Well, I mean, right. So what they're saying is you're a pussy.
You're a pussy. Right.
Oh my God. I mean, really, like, you know, we've talked about this a few times, but as we shepherd ourselves into a world where most basic needs are taken care of, you know, these pursuits of other things like emotional security and things like that, you know, yes, our young people experience things in a different way than young people would have 100 years ago. Just 300 or 400 years ago, the survival of our species was not certain, right? There was chop the wood, hunt the animals, or we're going to fucking die. That's not a thing anymore. I understand there's food scarcity. I understand there's still problems in this country and around the world.
Well, yeah, Sudan.
But mocking someone for showing emotion is psychotic.
It's psychotic. In a first world country, it's fucking psychotic.
Yes.
Like, yeah, that whole thing was just so fucking ridiculous.
So Ann Coulter, piece of shit, go fuck yourself.
Friend of the pod.
Yeah. Now, I don't have any more notes. Did you have any things you want to talk about Walz or things that you liked or didn't like, or is there anything?
I mean, really just how I think I kind of went into it. It's just how much him being him has changed the conversation. I know that you have soft spot for football coaches. That's kind of my least favorite thing. I feel like that there's a lot of focus on that and, whatever. It's not my bag. And maybe if there'd been coaches like fucking Walz, I would have played. You know what I mean?
Sure. Well, my nephew played football in Los Gatos, and there was a quote that he told us. It was something like, "Don't be a pussy." So, no, there are coaches that are awful people. They're just like basically another slice of life, as far as a profession goes.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're toxic, horrible people. And there are good, wonderful people. I would say, my friend I was telling you about who's a coach, he's a Republican.
Yeah.
But a lovely person, and I guarantee a good teacher to those young men.
Sure.
So I really respect and love him for that.
Yeah.
With what he's giving back to those young men.
I'm really more impressed with his military service because he signed up. He fucking did it. He was in for 24 years.
Yeah.
I mean.
In the Army Reserves, I think I'm saying.
Sergeant Major. That's pretty fucking action.
Yeah. Highest ranking member of the military to serve in Congress.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about this. Members of the military have come forward in support of him, but they tried to attack his military record and it's complete bullshit.
Just more shit that didn't stick, man. They can't come up with a solid throw. They have nothing.
Did you see the other day? Trump used Arlington National Cemetery as a photo op,
dude.
And they're not going to press charges, but the Army's pissed.
The Army is pissed, dude.
There's actually rules about
political stunts.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, about any kind of polarizing political shit at that cemetery.
You don't do that
Yes.
at Arlington.
Right.
And they fucking roughed up fucking the employee. No, that like.
So apparently they kind of barged their way in.
Well,
right.
So they were there for something in the front.
Yeah.
And they pushed their way back to that section 60, which is the Iraq, Afghanistan
Right.
Area of that. And told some employee that, fuck you, we're coming in. She said, oh, you can't do that. It's against the law. And they fucking pushed her around and went in and did it
Physically
anyway.
pushed her around.
Physically pushed her around, which is why they're not pressing. That's why they said they're not pressing charges. She had the opportunity to press charges against them for assault, essentially.
Jesus.
And she decided not to because of the ramifications of doing that to that piece of shit, Fucky McFuckface.
Do we need a more apt metaphor than a group of men pushing around a young woman to get what they want?
Dude. And not only that, a young woman who's an employee of a fucking military cemetery, and they're pushing her around, bone spurs, Fucky McFuckface, and those other hack bastards. I mean, fuck. And
yeah, I know. These are not serious people, Josh.
Nickel tight.
Well, they pushed her around because uterus.
Yeah, straight up.
Right? I mean,
right. If somebody else had been there and they'd fucking done that, shit would have gone down. I have no doubt.
Now, just real quick though, former President Fucky McFuckface did say that all Americans wanted to get rid of abortion. Didn't you hear him the other day?
Dude,
Americans don't want abortion.
Jesse, fuck you.
Which is a lie. That's a lie. The majority of Republicans are for reproductive freedom.
70% of Americans are for reproductive freedom.
So, states' rights, Josh, state rights.
Fuck, God damn it. So, anyway, let's get back to our pal Walz, because I think that one of the interesting things that's going to happen is going to be the debate between
J.D. Vance.
I
can see why you forgot his fucking name.
And I remembered it. I just didn't want to say it out loud.
Yeah.
It's like, what? Yeah. God.
Did you see his haircut the other day?
Oh God, no, dude.
What are you, a frat boy?
Was he getting the fashy?
It was kind of a Mo. Mo from the Stooges. It's pretty crazy. I'll show it to you later.
Oh,
but I'm sorry, I interrupted you. You were going to say J.D. Vance and the debate. What were you going to say about the debate?
I'm looking forward to that, but I think that that's going to be a tough one because that fucking there's something, and I've said this on the podcast before. There is this way that he presents himself. And you can see it with that fucking sack of shit, Mike Johnson. They present themselves in the same way as they are the voice of reason. You're being completely unreasonable, and they're fucking unflappable. But I'm hoping to fuck that Walz can just get under that and just get him fucking riled up like he's fucking in drag again. You know what I mean?
Let's parse it out. Obviously, Vance, a much younger man than Trump, so not out of his fucking mind. Fucky McFuckface is out of his mind.
He's out of his mind. He's completely. He's a lunatic.
That's not on the table.
He's fully out of his mind.
We've seen kind of a funny Walz these last few weeks.
Yeah,
I think we're going to see a pretty serious Walz when he debates Vance.
Yeah,
Walz is an experienced orator. He has said many interesting speeches and provocative speeches in the halls of Congress. I'm not saying he's not going to be jokey at all. I think we're going to see a pretty serious Walz. I don't know how Vance matches up to that.
Yeah, I think Vance is relatively untested, but he's got a lot of fucking money behind him, and with that money, he's got trainers.
Right.
He has no. He's got no politics to stand on. He's got nothing to stand on.
But unlike Fucky McFuckface, he can read.
Yeah.
Number one. And unlike Fucky McFuckface, he can be trained. Trump is untrainable.
He's untrainable.
But Vance can be molded into something that seems coherent.
Yeah. I think what they really have to push for the next fucking 2.5 months is Trump's going to fucking die. And it's going to be relatively soon. That guy's not going to live forever. He's unhealthy as a motherfucker.
He really
you
is.
can tell, like, there's even if all the rumors about him shitting his pants aren't true, I really hope they are. Even if his Adderall addiction isn't true, his cocaine addiction isn't true, I hope that they all are. Look at what he eats. He's got to be 350 pounds, and he's only like 5'11".
8 a.m, time for my McRib.
Right. I mean, he is an unhealthy. He believes that exercise wastes batteries.
Oh God! Wait a second. If Fucky McFuckface was addicted to cocaine, why is he so fucking fat?
There's a point where it doesn't do anything anime.
Sorry, I'm not fat shaming.
You eat to compensate.
I'm just shaming Fucky McFuckface only. So so he's going to die, and he probably will die in office. Like if he gets voted in, I'd give it 70+% chance that he'll die in office. And then Vance. So
that's bad.
Yeah. So basically the Democrats need to make the case that this Fucky McFuckface could pass away, and this garbage person who's not very bright, who has no political viewpoints at all, would take over for him.
Well, I mean, he is the mouthpiece for Peter Thiel,
right?
David Sachs, all these fucking
those are venture capitalists.
Yeah, insane billionaires that basically want to turn this into a theocracy with they can just rape,
right?
They take all the fucking money, right? That's what this is all about. Is getting Project 2025 is all about. All the policy that they're running on is basically to make billionaires richer and completely untouchable.
Well, I mean, that's good for the billionaires, because up until this point, they've had a pretty rough time.
With billions.
It's fascinating to me that people in the lower income class level, who literally have no remote chance of ever attaining even $1 million, right? The cards are stacked against them.
Yeah, for
America
sure.
America has more millionaires than any other country, but you have to luck into that or work really fucking hard at it. You're probably, it's just fascinating that these lower class people love billionaires.
Even if you work really hard at it, the odds are against you making millions of dollars.
Of course they are.
You're just going to fucking die young because you work so much.
Exactly.
I mean, it's not, there's very few people that make that jump.
Yep.
Yeah. But Elon Musk and his fucking zitter thing. Dude,
what's zitter?
I refuse to call it X.
Oh, it's Zitter, not Twitter, or
you put an X.
Yeah.
Zitter.
So X-Zitter, okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like he's on there promoting all this stuff. I mean, it's the billionaires. This is a fucking class war, whether the poor people think it is or not. Poor and middle class. This is a fucking class war, and Project 2025 is the fucking end game. That's what it is.
First, it was the Federalist Papers, as you pointed out.
Yeah.
And now it's Project 2025.
Now this is policy to put in action. The Federalist Papers was giving a reason to giving a legitimate legal reasoning behind these decisions that are enabling the policies that are coming through with Project 2025. Fascism.
Yeah.
Theocracy.
Yeah.
Theocratic fascism. That's what it is, because it is. I mean, end game is fucking Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is.
The other day, our friend Elon Musk tweeted, "Let's make Starfleet Academy real."
Yeah, fuck.
And a Twitter person responded, "Oh, do you mean a place that engages diversity, inclusion, and cultural diversity?" Like literally, apparently, I'm a Star Trek nerd, but I don't remember this. But Starfleet Academy is not a theocracy with white Christians. Starfleet Academy is meant to be diverse of both race and gender.
If I'm not mistaken, that was somebody from Star Trek, one of the Star Treks.
Okay, that I didn't notice.
Yeah, I think that is, and I can't remember who it was. It was like a lesser known,
right,
and maybe from a peripheral series. But if I remember right,
well, then that's even more apt.
It's obviously totally awesome.
I'm a fan of Walz. I like him. I don't know what else to say about him. What do you think?
No, I hope, man, I hope they win. It's like, I think that truly, like, I was joking about saying that he's the beginning of the end of our podcast, but I don't see how this doesn't change the conversation forever.
Hopefully it will.
Yeah. And it really, like, not only on the right and, but also on the left recognizing that there is a need for masculinity, and not all masculinity is toxic.
It's true.
Yeah.
In other news, I have kind of a lengthy asshole of the week.
Asshole of the week.
The wife and I were watching a little mini doc on YouTube the other day, and it was a think tank that's studying polarization. And, wonderful little wonks going there to research and talking about polarization. How did this happen? I'm no genius, but I would like to read this list of criminals for you. This is only a small, say, fraction of these criminals, but these are the ones that came to mind for me. Lee Atwater, Newt Gingrich, Mitch McConnell, Karl Rove, Lindsey Graham, Rush Limbaugh, Bill O'Reilly, Tucker Carlson, Alex Jones, Ben Shapiro, Sean Hannity. I could go on and on and on. What's the point? So, of course, there's polarization in this country. I'm going to put aside all that research and go to one party wants you to hate everybody. That one party, through design of the last 40 or 50 years, has crafted this racist piece of shit country into what it is now. Lee Atwater was Reagan's presidential advisor, or his campaign manager, right? Atwater was also chairman of the Republican National Committee. He was a proponent of push polling. Atwater also utilized the Southern strategy. The Southern strategy was a Republican Party electoral strategy to increase political support amongst white voters in the South by appealing to racism against African Americans, including the Willie Horton attack ads.
And that whole thing started once they realized that the Dixiecrats were losing a home.
Yep.
And they knew directly to appeal to them. Yep. That Southern strategy started in Nixon's time. That was Nixon's game. And it was Lee Atwater part of that? Was he part of Nixon's crew?
That part I don't know about.
Because the Southern strategy was developed in the 70s,
right.
Maybe even in the late 60s, when they realized that the Dixiecrats were up for grabs.
Sure, and the other day I did see some Nixon ads that were absolutely racist.
Oh yeah, they were no fucking around.
They were meant to be racist.
Absolutely.
I'm not sure anyone weaponized it the way that Atwater did, though.
But I'm wondering if he was involved with it back then, because it's very possible that he was.
Probably. This is a quote from Atwater. Well, I'll remove the N-word because he said it several times.
Oh God.
Y'all don't quote me on this. You start out in 1954 by saying N-word, N-word, N-word. By 68, you can't say N-word. That hurts you. It backfires. So you say stuff like forced busing and states' rights and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, straight up. Yeah, that's fucking it right there.
Right.
Anybody who talks about states' rights, fuck you.
I remember when Rush Limbaugh got cancer, and Lindsey Graham tweeted this. Like so many who believe in the conservative cause, I'm wishing Rush Limbaugh all the best in his fight against cancer. I replied, Rush is a cancer and so are you.
Did
no response, unfortunately.
No response from a friend of the pod?
It didn't get deleted. That was nice. So, my son, who's a lovely orator, who always tries to see the other side of things.
Sure.
I don't rant to him too much about Trump and his voters. Because my son has empathy and he's always trying to see, but what's behind this? Maybe they're not, of course they're not all bad people. Again, my uncle voted for Trump, not a terrible person.
Right.
But let's be clear about this. This country, right, would have been a lot different now had these pieces of shit Nazis not orchestrated this exactly the way it is.
No, I don't mean to put too fine a point on this, but let's call them racists because Nazis is a very specific thing.
Absolutely.
Okay. And then I just want to kind of be straight in the language.
Are they wearing uniforms and short mustaches? No.
Well, I mean, beyond that, let's just go with racists because
are you content to call them racist because Nazi is a very specific thing?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, if you want to throw it like a Nazi is a party, it's a movement, it's a thing.
Sure.
Then there are neo-Nazis, yeah. But if you're going to talk about like Reagan and shit like that, they're not Nazis. They're just fucking racists who are okay with the idea of fighting dirty and generally fascism. Right, I'd call them theocratic racists.
Okay,
right, something along those lines. But I don't want to put too fine a point on that. I'm sorry, I don't want to derail you.
I mean, my family lost people in the Holocaust.
Right.
So my thing is when people would call George W. Bush not a good president, but maybe a decent person. Pro-immigration. At the time that George W. Bush was president, we thought this is the worst president we've had in this era. We didn't know it could get a lot worse.
Yeah, I mean, at the time.
So when people compare George W. Bush to Hitler, I said out loud several times, let us not insult the victims of the Holocaust by comparing a standing U.S. president to Hitler. That is an insult to what Hitler actually was.
Right.
I don't say that anymore.
Yeah.
Now, I understand there is a difference. I understand there's a difference between, for example, a Proud Boy and Ronald Reagan. Of course there is a difference.
Right.
Where you can find speeches where Reagan talks about immigration and diversity, and the reason this country is great is because of immigration.
Yeah.
So yes, there is a difference.
And even the Proud Boys, I wouldn't throw into the neo-Nazi thing. I mean, what we're talking about with those guys they're fascists. But I mean, you know, they're probably kind of racist. They're mostly trolls. Not like fucking Richard Spencer, right? I mean, those motherfuckers are Nazis.
Right.
And a lot of those bastards in chinos and fucking and polos down in was it North Carolina? Fucking Nazis.
Do you think they all bought their clothes at Costco? I mean, it sure kind of feels like it.
One of the funniest things to me is the Tiki Torch people came out and they're all, we have nothing to do with this. The people that make the Tiki Torches. Oh, okay. They're like, please don't associate with the fucking Nazis.
It's like when they had that diet supplement called AIDS.
Oh God!
Do you remember that?
Damn
it's like late 70s. There's a diet AIDS. There was a diet supplement called AIDS. Well, that wasn't so great when AIDS became a thing. So
yeah, well, I mean that was
unfortunately
named disease, I guess.
Exactly.
For the AIDS diet pill people.
So Leah Wilder, go fuck yourself, piece of shit, garbage person.
He's created the fucking monstrosity we have today.
He and several of his asshole friends, for sure. But I do have a couple quotes.
Okay, give it to me.
And this may be brighten up just a little bit at the end here. Famous author Philip K. Dick, who wrote the short story that led to Blade Runner. And of course, a few of his short stories have been adopted into films.
So many. Local Boy.
Pretty profound quote. Oh, is he? Sonoma County or
San Francisco and Marin.
Oh, cool.
I didn't
know that.
He was a huge crank fiend.
Oh, was he?
Oh, yeah. And he lived in Marin when he was writing a lot of. I can't remember. I don't think that he wrote "Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep" there, but he did write a bunch of stories down there.
Great quote. There exists for everyone a sentence, a series of words that has the power to destroy you. Something to think about.
Yeah.
No matter how strong you think you are or how invulnerable you think you are.
There's a combination.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Noted liberal William F. Buckley. Got a great quote from him. You're going to love this.
God damn it.
You actually really are going to love this.
All right.
Even if one takes every reefer madness allegation out of the prohibitionists at face value, marijuana prohibition has done far more harm to far more people than marijuana ever could.
I'm floored.
That's pretty profound.
I'm floored that he said that.
I mean, is it Killer Mike? What the fuck?
Yeah, I know, right? You're going to break out some rhymes? Fucking.
I mean, that a conservative in maybe 1970 was able to understand the difference between, let's say, LSD and marijuana. It's pretty progressive.
George Will's spinning some beats in the background.
Wiki. Howa. I got one more. This is, it's kind of a bummer, but I love this quote. I'm sorry. David Foster Wallace, author who famously, I think, committed suicide. Am I saying that right?
I think that's right.
Okay. This is an incredible quote. It floors me. I've read it a million times. What's wrong? You say in a concerned way. He'll say, what do you mean? You say, something's wrong. I can tell. What is it? And he'll look stunned and say, how did you know? He doesn't realize something's always wrong with everybody.
Yeah.
Wow. Profound. I thought that was pretty profound.
Yeah. Something's always wrong.
Yeah. Be kind, for everyone is fighting a hard battle.
Yeah.
I do love that. I was at a locksmith today, and there was a kind of a weirdo talking to me, and I don't think he was trouble, but he was a fringe person. And as I left, I had this whole giant bunch of shit I had to do today. So I am like, action oriented. I am going to bolt from this locksmith to the next thing, and then to the next thing and the next thing. I get out there, goes, hey man, can I have a jump? Fuck. Not trying to be mean. I'm expecting a solicitation of money. I don't think he's going to kill me and take my car, but I could have just said, fuck it. I got to go. Sorry. But I gave him the jump. It didn't work. I said, sorry, man, good luck. And he goes, yeah, I need some of that. There's a lot of Americans, man, that need luck.
And
luck isn't a thing, so what they need is help.
It's interesting because the other day I was coming out of work and, I'm all fucking dressed up. And
yeah.
I'm walking out and I see this guy.
A stud that you are.
Yeah, right. I see this guy and he's like changing his tire in his SUV and he's got 2 kids in there. I'm like,
shit.
I walk over there. Can I do anything to help you out, man? You need anything I can do? He was almost done. Yeah. But I was like, what can I help you?
Yeah.
He said, oh, dude, thank you so much for asking. Like I'm almost done. I don't need help. I just want to get my kids to their mom. And like he gives me the story. I'm like, fuck, man, I'm sorry. Are you sure there's nothing I can do to help you out? He's all, yeah, but thank you. And sometimes that's all it takes.
I saw a video on YouTube a few years ago and it was an experiment. And they put an 8-year-old child on a sidewalk in New York City and all the kid would say is, I need help. And obviously hundreds of people walked right by him.
That's fucking amazing to me. Like I couldn't even imagine, like if some little kid came up to me and said, I need help. I'd be like, well, fuck, what do you need, man?
And so this is what's interesting about that experiment is if you've been in New York City, which I have.
Yeah, I've been there.
You have a husk. You cannot keep your receptors open and on the entire time. My wife was in San Francisco once going to buy some fancy shoes that her friends had given her a gift certificate to, and she stepped over an unconscious young man to get there. And it was horrible. She did not enjoy that experience at all.
No, that's
of course. Rough. But I think people that live in the city, and my wife doesn't live in the city, they have to steel themselves a bit. Because if your receptors are open 24 hours a day, it's over fucking whelming.
Yeah, and you will get taken advantage of.
Well, and more, it's almost too sad to really open yourself up
to let it all in.
Yeah.
I remember, I was like probably 19 or something down in San Francisco. And it wasn't even that bad. This was 89, 90, something like that.
Yeah.
I was hanging out doing something, probably no fucking good. But, and there's this, bum, this homeless guy, and he's just fucking, he's yelling, please somebody help me.
Fuck.
And it just, crowds of people just walking by him. And at that time I did too. I really didn't know what to do. I mean, now, I would probably make some effort to see what I could do.
Yeah. But
then I was young. I didn't know what the hell was going on. I didn't know how to deal with it. I didn't know how to process it. I mean, it's so sad. It's so fucking sad.
It is. I went to a Slayer show once and there was a guy outside soliciting money and I literally had like a credit card on me. I had no cash.
Right.
Not even change. And he's all, got some change? I said, I'm sorry. I literally have nothing. And he goes, racist. I actually laughed. I'm like, oh, damn. That got spicy really quick.
Fuck, all right.
One time I was at the local coffee shop and there was I've always said, I don't begrudge giving someone $5, but if I can buy someone a meal, that makes, I would love to do that. Right. So this troubled, mentally ill person was out in front of this coffee shop and I'm like, are you hungry? And he said, yes. I said, can I buy you a sandwich? And he said, of course. So I walked in there and he was behind me. I didn't even know he was behind me. And I was looking at the menu and immediately the owner of the business tells him to get the fuck out of there. I don't know if she's had a bad experience with him. I have no idea.
Right.
But he was sobbing. And it's like, this is part of what people in the city go through, right? Yeah. Of course you want to help. That road doesn't always lead to a happy ending. No,
and business owners, it's a whole different ballgame.
It's a whole different ballgame.
It's fucking, it's rough. This is another thing we can blame fucking Reagan and Lee Atwater for. Right. They're closing down all the mental institutions. Like that's why we are where we are with the homeless people. It's tragic.
Ronald Reagan was a great president,
Fuck
Josh.
you, Jesse. Fuck you right in the
greatest president of our lifetime, Josh.
That son of a bitch.
Piece of shit. All right. Did we solve Tim Walz?
I hope so.
Did we solve toxic masculinity? Is it over?
No, but that's it. Tim Walz fucking solved toxic masculinity. He's the guy that fucking is going to bring an end to it, and I couldn't be happier.
And thank you, Kamala Harris, for picking him.
Yeah, we'll just have to come up with a different fucking podcast.
Okay, let's do it. See you next time. Different name.
Yeah. Rock on, man.
Take care.
Yeah. You have been listening to The Trivial Man. If you'd like to get a hold of us, you can either call us at 415-484-8841 or send us an email at thetriviumpod@gmail.com.